You know, looking beyond just the budgets, I'm just thinking, I mean, for those who may wonder and look at how the whole of this budget scenario is going, and then they sit back and think, if we can't put together a budget, how are you going to deliver on all that you said you're going to deliver in the first instance? And then they think that this seems to be the same kind of uncertainty they're bringing into the economic policies as well. And that's why they suggest that, look, things are not going forward as they ought to. And then, I mean, you're a business market analyst. So when you look at this picture, those are worrying signs, aren't they?
Without a doubt, it is worrying. My view is government can and should move a lot quicker. Recently, I was reading about the constitution of the economic management team. I think that is long overdue.
But I thought that team had been there.
Well,
but they were just working. That's what the VP said.
The team had been there, according to the statement. But now there will be maybe a formal inauguration. What I think is critical is this: government needs to respond a lot quicker to the issues. Government needs to be more strategic in terms of direction and focus of this administration. Look, I believe that the general interest of Nigerians and Nigeria is paramount to every member of government. So what they need to do really is to come back to us Nigerians and say to us, this is our vision, this is our blueprint, this is what we intend to do. And you can hold us accountable to that on a month-by-month basis. You must be able to assess and judge whether we are living up to whatever it is. So the budget was meant to be that very first step in that direction. Unfortunately, it has been bogged down with all of this controversy. You know, so my sincere and fervent hope is that we can sort out this whole budget scenario within the next 30 to 45 days at the latest, so that we have at least 9 clear months in this year to try and make a sense of this situation. Because make no mistake about it, oil prices are not going anywhere. We've seen a recent rally, but it is not sustainable. So we will still be operating at a level, right, where oil prices remain depressed. That has implications for our currency, the value of our currency. It has implications for our reserves. It has implications for actual economic activity. So there are bigger issues for us to worry about, and we really, really need a clearer sense of direction and a sense of urgency, I would say.
Sulaiman asked you that question about transparency. We're talking about the 2016 budget presented by the federal government, but we're yet to know what exactly the National Assembly, the component of its 150 billion naira budget is going to be, or is. What do you make of that?
My view is, like I said, I looked at the budget breakdown, and inside of that document, I saw the allocation to the National Assembly, and it was just one single figure, 115 billion naira. No breakdown, nothing. Even the budget of the State House was broken down into detail. The National Assembly are representatives of Nigerians. My view is that there must be full disclosure about the components and the breakdown of that 115 billion, so that Nigerians can similarly scrutinize those numbers and query things that we are concerned about. So without a doubt, transparency must cut across the board.
When you were going through the budget, what other things, I mean, aside the contradictions, some of the line heads, were you a little disturbed by some of the things that we budget for?
Yes, certainly. Apart from recurrent expenditure, payment of salaries and wages and overheads, as far as I was concerned, for almost every single ministry, the largest component of their expenditure was personnel related. Now, the question to ask ourselves is, are all of these people productive? Are they delivering on whatever job descriptions they have? Are they adding value to the national economy or even to Nigeria as a whole? So I was concerned about salaries and wages. I was concerned about basic overheads, even office running expenses. You know, that some aspects of the budget was not in consonance with the general thinking that, look, this is a new order, this is a new environment, a new climate. We do not have the luxury of surplus resources anymore. So this is the time for belt tightening, because the message that is coming out of government is all Nigerians tighten your belts, because it is no longer business as usual.
But the budget did not reflect that belt tightening, as you said.
Now, to some extent, the budget, the pluses as far as the budget was concerned was a reordering in terms of the areas to focus most of the resources, or a significant part of it. So capital expenditure, a lot went into it. But the consistent concern I have is, let us bring down the cost of governance. Because remember, even that budget that was proposed, there was a deficit. Almost 50% of that budget will be funded by borrowings, local and international. Those borrowings come at a cost. So if we can cut down on expenditure, it means that it will reduce the amount of borrowing we need to get, and it will reduce the cost of servicing those borrowings. So there is a need for this budget really to be carefully reviewed, line by line.
Have you thought of how best we can stop this free fall of the Naira?
I listened to the last speaker. His view was that the Naira should not be devalued. And his argument simply was premised on the fact that where is the end if you start devaluing? So we've had 2 devaluations. We moved to 168, we moved to 199. So his question is, if we do 250 tomorrow, is that the end? Will we end up at 1,000 before you know it? But I take a slightly different view. I agree with him to some extent, but I believe that we're between a rock and a very hard place. So there is really no easy decision. If you devalue, it comes at a cost. If you fail to devalue, it comes also at a significant cost. But my view is, which is the most pragmatic option, right, to take today? Personally, our reserves are dwindling. As long as your reserves continue to dwindle, you do not really have the luxury of saying, I will not devalue, because a devaluation has happened whether you recognize it or not. All we're having now is a situation where the government, the CBN, who's in charge of monetary policy, has taken an official position and made a declaration to say we have not devalued the Naira. But the reality is the Naira has been devalued, because the average businessman or woman looking to source foreign exchange to import critical raw materials or machinery and equipment have to source their foreign exchange requirement from the parallel market at 345 Naira. Because if you go to the official window, you are on a very long queue for a very long time, and your business is grounding to a halt whilst waiting for official money. So reality is, devaluation is upon us. All we are failing to do is to make an open declaration.
And then there seems to be that gap again. We have to speak about it. Back to the fiscal policy. Because if the CBN says, look, we're restricting Forex because we don't have this to give to people. We haven't seen that fiscal policy that says, well, this is what we're doing to ensure we also strengthen local capacity.
Correct.
Such that, yes, what CBN has done sees the light of day.
Well, that takes us again back to the budget.
Oh, yeah.
Because the budget was it is an expansionary budget. The Ministry of Works, Power and Housing had 433 billion Naira to spend. If they spent that money, the Ministry of Transport had 220 billion to spend. If those monies enter the Nigerian economy, we will feel the impact. So what is happening is the fiscal side is slow in coming to pass, simply because we do not have an approved budget. So we really need to move fairly quickly.
That's why exactly when you speak of the sense of urgency, do you think that the March date is feasible for that line by line, evaluation that you want done on the budget?
Well, from what I read on the pages of the newspapers, the president has ordered that all government functionaries revisit or review the budget. The National Assembly, from what I see also, they have made consistent representations to the effect that we will give this expeditious passing as soon as it comes. No, so I believe that that sense of urgency is on all sides. And even we Nigerians, we are holding government accountable. So there is a lot of activism on social media, traditional press, word of mouth everywhere. So everybody is putting government under a bit of pressure, and rightly so, because the sooner this budget is passed, the sooner fiscal activity can commence and complement the monetary policies.
One final one.
Yeah.
The states. Because if the National Assembly didn't come up with this and we didn't focus on it as much, we may not get to this point that we're in. The states is where many of these things will happen. Are we giving a lot of focus as we ought to?
Sadly not. A lot of the focus has always and remains with the federal government, but a lot is happening. The states are closer to the people. The states impact the people more because they work with the local governments and touch the lives of ordinary Nigerians. Sadly, this degree of oversight, right, is not as prevalent in the states. So my advice to the states or to government through the National Economic Council is that states should be encouraged to be a bit more transparent, release their own budget, show the breakdown, allow Nigerians to review and make informed comments and positions, give informed positions regarding those budgets and hold them accountable. And I believe if that happens, then slowly but surely we'll start turning this thing around.
All right, Mr. Bayo Rotimi is a business market analyst. Thank you for your thoughts today.
Thank you indeed.
We've got one more perspective to go on the program. Don't go away. We will be back.